some of the actionable plans. But to understand that Black feminist thought not only can benefit Black women, but can benefit others when we talk about the potential to illuminate information about social relationships of domination that are constructed by other either-or dichotomies from a race, gender, social class, religion, sexual orientation, and even physical ability. Okay? Let's get through that. So some other things we have to consider in that structure are the notion of social determinants, again, what situate them in this matrix of domination. So how does one social environment, physical environment, health services, and other structural services position individuals in these particular societies? I'm going to move past that in sake of our time. But more importantly, again, how does socialization, how are they introduced to these particular notions? Again, using Coakley, socialization is a process of learning and developing through social and individual group interaction that can shape a person's thoughts. So we not only look at how these young women are introduced to sport, how it is informative to them, but we also have to look at issues of baseline data. Where are the statistics? Where do they participate? Well, African American girls, their ages peak in involvement in physical activity from 7 to 10, and then it drops off at age 11. So what's going on there? We need to look at the economic challenges, not only in the school systems, but even particular to these school communities, okay? School communities and outside communities. Gender stereotyping, how does that play a role? Oftentimes, African American females that are participating in track and field are hypersexualized, deemed as very sexual promiscuous. Basketball girls deemed as lesbians. My girls have said it to me straight up. But there's other barriers from language, religion, gender roles again, historic traditions, sometimes our hair, we don't want to sweat. It's just keeping it real, okay? And so those are things that we have to keep in mind, okay? So how do we begin to address this? What are some ways? Again, understanding this notion of the matrix of domination, it's not one where we can just hit it at one angle. It has to be hit from multiple levels. So this is what I propose. And using Black feminist thought and its historic traditions of activism may aid in circumventing social institutions that operate within the matrix. So from a structural or disciplinary level, we have to begin to look at these institutional structures, the policies and practices that are put forth. Through that, when we talk about Black feminist thought, begin to unpack or dispel these issues when it comes to the interlocking nature of oppression. So dispel these dominant ideologies and practices within social institutions, work with people and groups beyond African American female communities. In the US, we have the Women's Sports Foundation, we have AFER, which is now known as SHAPE, you even have Girl Scouts of America. At the hegemonic level, or family or community level, if you will, there are cultural traditions that we also have to get past. Okay? But we have to also understand the importance and value our African American culture, our history. But to start those things in grassroots programs. Again, in the US, we have the Black Women's Sports Foundation, started by Tina Sloan Green. In Atlanta, Georgia, they have a Black Girls Run program. And even the National Council of Negro Women has a Women and Girls Change the World. Okay? And then finally, on an interpersonal level, I've heard a lot today about knowing thyself, even throughout this whole conference, knowing thyself, informing, educating about their history, increasing their knowledge through books, open it, read it, articles, films, video, and even workshops that we can put on to educate these young women about their history. A colleague and I are getting ready to open a call for papers called Daughters of Candace. It's going to capture these histories of Black women experiences so we can put these stories out there so these young women know about themselves. But also develop communities that support the development of African American girls through peer education, through parents, through communities, through local churches, and even working with former student athletes. I have a program now at Texas A&M called Sister to Sister, where we meet and we talk about these issues of race and gender and what does it mean when we talk about race and gender discrimination in the context of collegiate athletics. And we begin to unpack some of those things. So with that said, I'll end with these final thoughts, okay? It is important that we begin to understand the current health and wellness statistics when it comes to African American females and find ways to sort of moderate these health disparities. And sport participation is just one of them. It's not the end-all be-all, but it is one way in which we can begin to address these issues. But we also have to understand that within these current rates of participation, there is still race, gender discrimination that's happening, or socio-historical patterns from our own cultural traditions that are barriers to our own participation in our own physical activity. So, what do we need to do? Working with Patricia Hill Collins, not working with her, but adopting from her research, talking about the notion of culturally relevant pedagogy or culturally relevant collaboration. We need to adopt those strategies or strategies of resistance to increase their education and their sport participation for not only African American girls, but for the women throughout their lives. Thank you.
No, it's fine. All right. Hello and good afternoon, or good day, everybody. My name's Dr. Dylan Kerrigan, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about my field work on the small goal football field. Firstly, I'd just like to apologize because in my abstract, I said that I was going to use some Jamaican data in a comparative form, and my colleague in Jamaica has asked me not to use that data, so I'm really just going to concentrate on the Trinidad data. Quickly, a quick point about anthropology. What is anthropology? Some people don't often know. Anthropology is really the study, the description, the documentation and analysis of different cultural behaviors and practices. And it has a long tradition studying games and sports since the 19th century. And today I'm going to do some description and documentation. A quick piece of definition. What is small goal football? Well, small goal football is a culturally distinct manifestation of football, or as it's called in North America, soccer, and would be best translated to a non-Caribbean audience as a variation of pick-up football or pick-up soccer. In small goal football, the goals are small, no more than 3 feet by 5 feet, and the teams comprised of between 4 to 8 players on each side, depending on the size and norms of the particular playing field. Small goal games are regular social events up and down Trinidad and Tobago, with an established routine. This might include a line with its attendant old talk, peacock and laughter, and at the same time people playing regularly. As such, the games function like socio-cultural institutions where people of various employments, as well as people who don't work, and classes and ethnicities, races and sporting abilities, bond, share, disagree, and communicate. Understood as an institution, such spaces across difference provide socialization and community to members. Some may have been playing regularly for a year or two, some regularly for 20 years or more. This suggests members can be brought up and educated in a general social context and one of difference that governs behaviors in such spaces. A quick note on how I collect this information. The content of this research was collected via long-term ethnographic research in Trinidad, including participant observation. And today I'm going to talk about one particular group of small goal footballers, and I disguise the name of their group and field by calling it Anfield. I'm basically going to tell you 3 quick stories. The first story is about language use on the small goal football field. The second story is about power relations on the small goal football field. And the third story is going to be about Caribbean love of skills on the small goal football field. And here's a little glossary for anybody that needs some help with the terms. So here's the first story. Racial, ethnic nicknames and other words. It's 5 minutes to 5, and I'm looking out the window for my ride, Richard to pull up. The WhatsApp group called Sweat, Sweat, Sweat has been pinging since about 2 p.m. with messages asking if men sweat in today. The responses have been a constant barrage of affirmatives, sprinkled with some fun and teasing threats. In Trinidad, such humor is called picong and is common. Alongside the simple comments and emoticons, such as nice, we have big guns running ball today and old guns too, smiley face. Some of the men have sent out provocative photos too. One from a regular footballer named Insect is of a pig lying on its side, clothed in a shirt and shorts, with a gun in its waist and a Rolex on its leg. It's followed by the text that reads, "Gun down on the football field earlier. That's how I will have Bao looking today." Bao is another regular on the same small goal field. He quickly sends back a pic of a fly swatter, splatting what looks like an insect, with text that says, "That's what I have for you, my little insect." While these comments might sound to an outsider as serious, they are part of the local cultural logic of peacock. and designed to entertain the rest of the group members, who quickly send texts LOLing and laughing, followed up by what time we meet in. I've been working in this field for a long time, and this Pekong is a constant feature of the group. It's also constant on the WhatsApp group. In simple terms, it would seem these jokes connect the group socially and also destabilize to a point social hierarchy. My ride pulls up on Trini time, closer to 5:30 than 5. He honks outside. I grab my football stuff and jump in the car. The ride to the field is a short one. As we pull up, we mount the curb and drive onto Anfield. As we pull up, there's only one other parked car, although the group on WhatsApp keeps pinging with messages saying on way. Manny, a reptile zoo worker, middle class and of Portuguese and Spanish descent, exits the parked car. Richard turns to me. Boy, Chinese always be here first, like you don't ever want to stay home. Chinese and middle class is middle class. The company manages parents of Chinese descent. Manny approaches our car and says, Mamu, what mischief you're causing today? Before turning to me and shouting, English, you should stop hanging out with this fella, he no good. After saying hi to Manny and Chiny, we all hang out by the cars. Within a few minutes, the two cars have turned into about 20. As men drive onto the grass, each one is held by nicknames. Chiny, Red Man, Rasta Man, Brother Man, Big Man, Tilly, Stones, Model, Syrian, Chindian, Chinaman, Insect, Bow, and Terrorist are all salutations drifting across the air. It's also fair to say that no one is without a nickname. On this small goal football field, it would appear that nicknames deemed ethnic and racist in a more general, wider society, and certainly in foreign societies of the US and the UK, are not deemed as loaded nor provocative as they can be. Obviously, this is not to say there's a complete absence of racial and ethnic ideologies and hierarchies on the Anfield field, as the next story will demonstrate. Rather, it means that mostly on the average day on Anfield, racial and ethnic tension is subsumed and submerged by group solidarity in a fully functioning multicultural football community where football ability, not race, class, or ethnicity, is the hierarchical ethos. In other words, on this field, a cross-class and multicultural space, people are actively able to deal with difference and privilege. This is not to say that all people have the same social capital and can use all these nicknames with anyone at any time. As an older member of Anfield told me when I said to him that people there don't seem to be racially offended at ethno-racial nicknames. Don't be fooled. Ethnic and racial tensions are always under the surface. People see white, black, Indian, and the rest. They just keep it under control here. It isn't that it's not here, it's buried. Not everyone can call everyone certain names. It depends on who you are, who they are, where you are, and what the situation is. It's like that across Trinidad. Some people at some times will get offended, but not all people all the time. On to my second story. Who has the power amongst these footballing men and why? The games on Anfield are 7 versus 7. When there are no more than 14 players, the games are timed to a maximum of 20 minutes, with the first team to score staying on. If no one scores in that time, the winner is decided by penalty shootout, and the players on the sidelines take their turn against the winners. Occasionally, losing players try their luck to stay on. But the weight of the rule and the members' support for it means it's respected, mostly. Today there's a standoff. Roger refuses to leave the field. As this makes the number of players uneven, the next game cannot begin with him still on the field. Many don't take him seriously at first and expect him to come off. He remains. Expletives are now exchanged. Roger won't budge. He stands there, motionless. He thinks his tactic will work and someone will buckle to give up their sweat for him. It can happen. But today it won't. Convention, rules, and the weight of the other members of Anfield are having little effect on Roger leaving the field. One of the longest-standing members of Anfield, Sky, storms off the pitch. He throws his shirt to the ground and shouts, "If all you allow this crap to take place, man, are done with all you. This is not how we do things. Roger, you're doing shit, man." Sky is shaking. He takes a seat on the sidelines, muttering, and puts his hand to his forehead. Others are walking off the pitch too. Some hurl more expletives at Roger as they come off. Others simply shake their head. Still others laugh at the absurdity of the situation of no football due to one man's behavior. The day's football looks like it's over. A voice rises above the rest. "You see this white supremacy bullshit, Roger? We not on that, man. This is Trinidad. That don't work here. Take your white supremacy home with you, man." Among a multiracial and multi-ethnic group of men, where white is a distinct minority with great social power, Roger's whiteness and his historical social power is seized upon by others. "Yeah, that is bullshit, man. It's white supremacy for real, boy. We don't want that here. Arms start to flap and motion as many more men start to accuse Roger of white supremacy. Another says, "You feel you're special, that you could do what you want? Nah, man, not on that. Move from the field. Come off, man." The emotional shouting, what people in Trinidad call grand charging and cussing, turns toward an air of male aggression. Roger is offended. He resents being separated and isolated from the multi-hued group. He walks towards the person who started the white supremacy jibe. He's clearly upset about the accusation. They're now nose to nose. Roger reaches to grab the man in a neck hold. Tensions rise. The attention of the onlooking crowd focuses in on the potential altercation. At the same time, the accuser adds, "If it's not white supremacy, then it's gangsterism, and that's just as bad." The extra wording seems to change everything. Colloquially, gangsterism is something everyone with power in Trinidad is accused of or complicit in. As the Trinidadian author Lloyd Best once described it, is a local ethos, one at the heart of getting ahead socio-economically through such opportunism as nepotism, corruption, violence, and proposition in a post-colonial nation. The two men begin to laugh with each other. What looked as it was going to be an aggressive neck hold becomes an arm around each other's shoulders. Laughter replaces aggression. The mood changes immediately. The jokes, normal everyday currency of life on Anfield, start to flow again from the sidelines. These include both jokes about Roger's sense of privilege and also the ridiculousness of his behavior. The football starts back.